What's happening, sports fans? Welcome back to another episode with Mom and Papa Joe. Today on the menu is tri-tip. We're going to knock this out on the Weber Kettle, and it's going to be delicious. Let's get right into it. I picked up this beautiful tri-tip from my local H-E-B a few days ago, man. It weighs approximately 3.27 pounds. It's not very often I see anything this size, but it is beautiful, nicely marbled. Grain running in a couple of different directions, as usual. Let's get this open and see if we need to do any trimming. All right, we've got a couple of loose pieces. Fat cap is fairly intact. Trooper will enjoy this. All right, so here we are. I've just sort of evened things up, trimmed off the loose edges. I've kept the fat cap. All I've done is thin it out in some areas. This was already exposed. Little silver skin there. I'm not going to even mess with that little corner. All we're going to do now is salt this and place it in the refrigerator for about, give or take 7 hours today. Right now it is 9 a.m. I've got basic kosher salt. And the rule of thumb in doing this so-called dry brine is about a half teaspoon of salt per pound of meat. So I've got approximately a little over 1.5 teaspoons of salt that I am going to place on this. All right, so there we are. This is going to go into the fridge till about, give or take, 4 o'clock this afternoon. All right, so our tri-tip has been out the fridge for about a good hour, man. Much firmer, a little darker, and as usual, man, that liquid that was drawn out by the salt has been reabsorbed after that salt dissolved, taking some salt deeper into the meat. The salt doesn't quite dissolve on the fat, but that is not a problem. The first thing we're going to do today is give a little brush with some olive oil. I really like the way olive oil pairs with beef. And come back with these same 2 seasonings because they work very well. Black pepper, 16 mesh, and my Uncle Chris gourmet steak seasoning. Beautiful. Man, look at those herbs. We're gonna flip over and do the same thing on the meat side. And this should just about do it. Let's head outside and get this pit cranked up. All right, our fire is ready. We've got a small piece of mesquite. We're gonna come back with our well-seasoned tri-tip. And I'm thinking maybe 45 minutes to an hour based on how thick this is. I'm not going to flip over, but I will rotate about halfway through. As usual, vent over the protein to draw some of that smoke. All right, we're at 35 minutes. Let's do a 180. Man, we're getting some nice smoke. She's looking good. And we're gonna go maybe another 20 or so minutes and start getting temps. I'm looking for that 115, 120. All right, we are at an hour and we're gonna give this a check. In the thickest part, that is saying 101, a little thinner, 111, 106. Let's go back to the middle, 106. All right, I think we may have about another 10 minutes. I'm gonna let it roll. Man, she is looking beautiful. All right, folks, we are at 115. And I think, man, we should be where we need to be. That's dead center, saying 112. The thinner area, that is saying 126. A little thicker area, 117. You know, I'm going to try to average these out. And I know the middle is going to be a little more rare, but man, I don't want to overcook these thinner ends too badly. So I'm gonna get this fire nice and hot, and we'll come back and start searing. Now this, I'm gonna try to take this to a little higher temperature than a regular steak. I think tri-tip has a better chew when you're finishing between that 135 and that 140. So I might be pulling at 135 and hopefully it carries over to about 138. All right, I think our fire is nice and hot, and we're gonna be doing our 30-second flips, really quick flips, 30 seconds. With that quick flip, man, the top side cools down as the bottom cooks, and you flip, that top side cools down. What it really does is slows down that internal cooking. That way you don't get that gray band creeping deeper into the meat. That fat cap is down there. We're gonna have some flare-ups, not a problem. Couple of degrees away, another 3 or 4 minutes. All right, I'm getting that 135. I'm gonna call that good. We're gonna pull this thing and let her rest. While our tri-tip is resting, I've got some crostini here, man, with a little garlic, olive oil, and some Uncle Chris. I'm just gonna give this a 30-second toasting. This is gonna go really well, man, with some chimichurri. Oh, all right, we've given this thing about 20 minutes to rest, only because it's pretty thick. Here's our grain, and it starts to turn right about here. So I'm gonna go right down the middle, right here. Oh, baby. That is absolutely beautiful. This is what I'm talking about right here. What's great about tri-tip is it's got something for everybody because of the different thickness. Like I mentioned, that chew is so much silkier, so much more tender when you take it a little higher. Wow, that Uncle Chris is money. And if you're looking for something a little more done, you'll come to the thin side, and there you are. You're gonna have some pieces that are of a different doneness. So you've got something for everybody. But wow, isn't that beautiful? But I'm just gonna come right here, man. I've got my crostini, a little chimichurri. Man, tell me you do not want to sink your teeth into this. That chew, that bite. So there it is, sports fans. I'm here to tell you, this might be the best tri-tip I've ever tasted. If you haven't yet tried that 135 to 140 range, you're gonna appreciate that chew if you ever do. Man, do a side-by-side comparison if you can find two small tri-tips. I want to thank you guys and gals for hanging out with us one more time. If you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, man, we'd appreciate your support. In the meantime, I want you guys to take care of yourselves, look out for each other, and we'll see you when we see you. Holla!